When I was younger, I had an NES, and like most of us who had the NES at the time, we eventually got the Game Boy to play Nintendo games on the road. And I had a few Game Boy games, but I never had a whole lot of Game Boy games. I always had more NES games, and I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could play the NES games on the Game Boy? You know, Never mind the size constraints or the fact that it's black and white. If there was a way to play them on there, I would have been all over that. That would have been so cool. If at the time you were into Sega and you had a Sega Master System and the Game Gear came out, you were in luck because there was a way to play all your Sega Master System games. Instead of buying Game Gear games, take all your Sega Master System games and play them on your Game Gear. You did that with adapters like this. This is the Master Gear converter. Now, several companies made these converters. They came in slightly different shapes and sizes, but they all pretty much did the same thing. And, I've mentioned it before in some of my Game Gear and Master System reviews, that the Game Gear and the Master System are essentially the same system. They share a lot of the same hardware on the inside. And so because of that, it's very, very easy for these converters to basically pass the Sega Master System game right into the Game Gear, and the Game Gear can play it. So let's check this thing out, shall we? Basically just goes in just like the TV tuner, or just like the game really, slides into the cartridge slot. It does require a lot of pressure to get it in, and when you think it's in, it still ain't in yet. Keep pushing. Really got to push. Now I've got this thing to screw it on the back of the system here, but truth be told, you really don't need to worry about that. Like I said, it takes a lot of pressure to push that on there. It's not just gonna, fall out while you're in the middle of playing a game or something. So anyways, let's plug this thing in, and let's grab Outrun. Now the cool thing is the games go in with the label facing you, which is kind of cool because you can see it while you're playing. So we'll turn that on. The first thing you're going to notice is the screen flickers like mad. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that in the videos, but the screen's got like a 30, maybe 40 hertz refresh rate on it, and it's got this very noticeable flickering to it. It could definitely bother you after a while playing on here. But other than that, it's pretty good. I mean, obviously the resolution's been cut back because the resolution on the Game Gear, obviously its screen is very small, is lower than the Master System on a television. Now, I've heard text can be hard to read, but in the games I've been able to read everything. For example, push start button there, Sega, 1987. I mean, everything's readable. You may not want to read, you may not want to play Phantasy Star on here, or something where you have a lot of reading, but you can read everything. There's a little bit of the top and the bottom of the screen that don't get stretched, but once again, different resolution. I mean, that's kind of acceptable. I mean, the same thing happens when you play Game Boy Color games on a Game Boy Advance, for example, or Game Boy games on a Game Boy Advance. It's even worse there. And here it's just, there's that small, maybe 4 lines of resolution on the top and bottom of the screen that don't get used, but really no big deal. Let's check out Castle of Illusion. It's another great game for the Sega Master System. I know the cameras don't pick up these things very well, but I'm going to do the best. You can see there, you can read that. You can definitely read that, no problem. I turn the volume up here a little bit. And I'm dead. But as I'm saying, you can read everything there on the screen. At the bottom of the screen, power, tries, score, time. You can easily see and read all that. And there may be games where they went a little small on the text even for the Master System. But I don't know. For the most part, I think you're going to be able to read the games no problem. So really the biggest problem is that flickering. Once you get over that, it's not so bad. This thing does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it does a pretty good job. And also because it's simple and there's not much to it, they're dirt cheap. I picked this one up brand new for like $10 on eBay.